Expense reimbursements have to be qualified. The number of companies we go in where they have a wellness plan, they're giving the employees $300 every quarter to pay for gym memberships, and they call it a reimbursement or they call it a business expense. That's not legal.
As a bookkeeper, have you ever had your client come to you and say, "Can you also do these other HR tasks?" Well, it's actually pretty common. So I had an hour-long conversation with my friend Rami, the CEO and founder of People Processes, talking to us about all of those overlaps that bookkeeping business owners deal with HR. And People Processes is a company that specializes in HR and compliance and anything related to payroll. This was an incredible conversation that we had, so make sure that you stay tuned till the end to make sure that you get all of the tips that he mentions. All right, so here's a clip of that conversation.
As the bookkeeper, as the finance person, I want you to start thinking about deductions, the taxability and the legality of them. You don't have to solve the problem. Let's take a minute to talk about how to guide your clients forward, about why this is relevant to you. I talk to my business partners about this all the time. Ever hired somebody and you have to tell them what the problem is, then tell them how to fix it, and then basically do it for them? Right? It's not enough that like you show them there's a problem and then you tell them how to fix it. You have to actually like sit there and click the buttons with them watching. Right? That's like, unfortunately, that's about a quarter of employees. It's just all the time. You're going to get somebody and it's like, I hired you and I'm doing the job. Yeah, it's wild. That is the lowest value. They will fire you quickly. If you're doing bookkeeping like that, where you walk in and say, "So boss, what do you want me to do?" "Oh, cool. How do you want me to do that?" Will you show me?" They're not going to pay you very long, right? The next level of value is someone else defines the problem, someone else defines the solution, but at least you can execute it, right? Okay. That is the most basic. We call that level one in my company. If a client comes to me and says, "Oh my gosh, Rami, I've got a problem. I've got employees who are misclassified and I'm not sure. And I think the way I want to do it is do a voluntary resettlement program. My lawyers researched it and here's all the documentation. Can you take care of that?" Sure. No problem. But that bare level, the next layer up is, "Oh my gosh, Rami, I think I got problems where some people should be employees and some are independent contractors. I don't know what the issue. I'm scared. I have a problem." And I can tell them, "Okay, you do have a problem. Here's the solution. Here's the execution." Level two is they tell you the problem, you tell them the solution, and you do the work. Level three is the true value. And the difference between level 3 and level 2 is a 0 or more. Those of you who've been in business, you haven't had many of these interactions with any vendor you've ever had, which is where they come in, they identify the problem and the solution, and they take care of it. Okay, that's the big value in business. If you as an advisor can go into a client, because you were hired to redo their chart of accounts and figure out their general ledger and make sure a couple systems integrate. And then you look around and go, "Hey boss, I noticed that you guys are writing off like 50 cell phone bills a month. You just give employees $75 a month for cell phone bills. And you just say cell phone. And you write it all as an employer expense. I see no receipts. You've never written it down. Just everybody gets a $75 a month thing." That's a problem. Here's why it's a problem. That's not a qualified plan, right? Has no justification. It should be employee compensation. It could be a bonus. You could just give them the $75 and charge them taxes. Or if you want to keep it this way, you need a solution. And the solution is RAMP. I don't know, whatever your expense reimbursement management software is, People Processes. We can help with that. And if you want, you're spending $5,000 a month on this. Why don't you pay me $5,000 and I'll handle the rollout, make sure everybody knows how to get all this stuff in. And for an extra $200 a month, by the way, if you don't do this, you're going to owe taxes on all this money. I'll make sure to reconcile those pieces, so people have to provide it. You've now identified a problem, provided solutions, and can execute on it. Your bill's going through that. You're going to make so much more money. So as advisors, educate yourselves on the problems that scaling businesses face and have in your back pocket the solutions. I don't have great solutions for everything in my company, but you know what? I refer Ramp when they need a expense reimbursement credit card system that works internationally, right? You got employees in the Philippines who need a credit card. I don't issue credit card. I got a company that can do that. Okay. So that's where we're going through these problems in HR, because I want you to be educated enough to be dangerous with it, right? To know that it's a problem and to have a vague idea of the solution. For benefits, a deduction, we talked about Section 125. That's the major medical insurance. It's called health and wellness. Okay. There's another thing for financial plans, 401k plans, 403b plans, where there's a bit of compliance that has to be involved there. Most of the time, those companies hire other people to handle it, but some of them are silly enough to do it in-house, and you want to know about it. For example, a nice easy check as a bookkeeper is to look for a bond expense. Anyone who's holding a trust, a 401k, holds funds on behalf of others. It's required in every state that they have a bond, an insurance bond, that says if I just stole all this money, someone else would pay for it, right? They're cheap, like up to 100 grand, which you only need a bond for, I think, a fifth of the amount or a tenth of the amount of the 401k. You can get like a 3-year bond for $500. It's not expensive. Sometimes it's like $200 for the small ones. Okay. But if you don't see one, this is a problem, and there's an easy solution. And there's a person, I don't do bonds, a PNC broker who handles those kind of things should be in your network, so you can have him write that $500 bond. He's happy, he made $75. And now that guy is the guy who's going to refer you. So, back to the HR concerns that we're talking about. Deductions. Here are some of the common ones that I see finance and HR get involved in. 1, expense reimbursements. Okay. Expense reimbursements have to be qualified. The number of companies we go in where they have a wellness plan, they're giving the employees $300 every quarter to pay for gym memberships, and they call it a reimbursement or they call it a business expense. That's not legal. Okay. Same with cell phones, work from home allowances, buying computers. All of those things need receipts. That's all you need. It's totally reasonable. In fact, in some states it's required. If you're in California, you're required to provide work from home allowances, but they are required to be qualified. You need receipts and a basis. Okay. So those are some of the pieces if you want to pre-tax them. Otherwise, you got to pay them post-tax. You got to actually give them just the $100 and then they'll take the taxes out and pay themselves if you don't want to require receipts. And then benefits. Benefits are a key broad part, and I see these are some of the places where the finance department makes decisions that can mess you up. Another common one is on your first and your final pay. Okay. The number one rule with pay is that if you're gonna screw with it, it needs to be forward-looking, and if you're gonna steal from somebody, i.e. take money out of their check, they need to have consented. And under no circumstance can it lower them below the minimum wage. So those are the things I want you to think about. Before I dock someone's pay, have they consented? They'd have consented 2 years ago. I agreed not to break this key. If I break the key, you can take $200 out. You got that in writing. And if I take this $200 out, will it lower them below the minimum wage? So let's talk about that final check, right? The employee's got a laptop and a monitor and they don't want to give it back. They owe $2,500. You got it in writing. You're good. You issued them an asset receipt and said, you're going to give me that $2,500 back. And you just say, well, your paycheck's only $1,600. I'm going to keep it. Does anyone see a problem with that?
Yeah.
Even though they consented, you've moved them below the minimum wage. Okay. Every state, that is a requirement. There's no exceptions to this. Some states, there are higher bars than that. But in every state, you cannot move people below the minimum wage. If you wind up holding that final check till they return the equipment, you have not paid them the minimum wage in a timely manner. Okay. And it will come to bite you. And the problem, and I bring this one up not because people make that mistake a lot, they do. The finance department makes that mistake a lot. I can see a bookkeeper, a payroll specialist, just getting the email, hey, don't forget to deduct it. Boom, deduction, $1,800, and you put it in there, and now you're responsible for that. The quick response on that in California, by the way, is that you owe them everything you owe them, plus double, plus a per day fee. And it's quick. I've literally had it hit $10,000 in weeks. It's very quick. It's enough that a personal injury attorney is happy to take the case quickly. I pick on California a lot, but a lot of states, Pennsylvania, Montana, New York, Ohio, they all have their own crazy rules, and they can be back in there. So,
thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this conversation that we had, make sure to join the Digital Bookkeeper Association at thedba.org. Actually, it's not the DBA, it's dba.org to join and become a member. It's $99 a year. You get these types of conversations every 2 weeks, plus access to all of the previous webinars that we've had. We bring in experts from HR to marketing to bookkeeping experts to business owners in a different field that can expand your business. Now, at $99 a year, you're looking at less than a couple of cups of coffee a month. So make sure to join and grow with the rest of us.